Okay, so I was talking about graphs, and I was talking about observation, and I was talking about extracting information from this observation. Right. So I am sure as intelligent uh, young individuals like yourselves, you will understand that there is a difference between me telling you something and me telling you something in a very scientific and a proper way, right? For example, if we consider the example from the last class where we were talking about uh, the variation of intensity of light from coming from another coming from another star, right? So if I just tell you कि अबे मालूम है तेरे को कि वहां से जो लाइट आ रही है वो कम हो जा रही है, or in words if I tell you something, it will not carry as much meaning as if I tell you, if I give you the data in numbers, or better yet, if I give you the data in the form of a graph. There is an even better way of giving you the data, which I want to discuss today. So you must understand that अगर हम अपने यूनिवर्स के बारे में सीखना चाहते हैं, if we want to learn something about our universe, then we must uh, do this in a very scientific and a very impartial and a very open-minded sort of way. Okay. So what is a graph, first of all, right? So the graph that I drew in the last class, variation of intensity, what is the meaning of that? Well, the thing is that you can have from an experiment a set of data, right? So you carry out an experiment and you are measuring two things. These two things can be anything. In the last class, we saw that these two things can be intensity of light coming from a star and time, right? So X and Y, I will call them X and Y, but X and Y can be any physical quantity, right? I don't know. The physical quantity may be something that you have heard of. It may be something you have never heard of. It may be something I have never heard of. So from an experiment, okay, we get the following data. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And very weird, I get, you know, this kind of a thing. So what is this? What information can I extract from this? Well, the information that I can extract from this is that if X changes, then Y really does not care. If X changes, then the value of Y always remains 7, right? So वो 7 क्या है, क्या units हैं, we are not bothered about that at this moment. We are only bothered about the fact that we carried out an experiment between two physical variables, and this is what we got. Okay, yeah, exactly, nice. Yes. So now what I want to do is I want to draw a graph. Okay, and the way that I want to draw a graph is very simple. I'll have something on the x-axis, I'll have something on the y-axis, right? And that should, let me see if I can find it for you. Uh,
Sir, why did we take the value of y7 throughout?
Okay, so the graph is something like, हाँ, क्या पूछ रहा है? Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to know why we took the value of y as 7 throughout.
What is the table? What is the table that I have drawn?
Okay, yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir, I saw that. Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir. So here the y coordinate is always 7.
Table किस चीज का है, Shreyas?
Sir, I didn't understand. Sorry. Yes, sir. It is x comma y coordinate.
What
So,
is
sir,
X and what is Y? That is what I'm asking.
yes, sir. X is yes, sir. 0, 2.5 and minus 1.8 and y is 7 throughout. Yes, sir. It's in a straight line.
Very good observation. बहुत बढ़िया. Very good. Yeah. So I am getting this from some experiment that I have carried out. I don't know what that experiment is. Somebody has given me this data. I will ask that guy why Y is always 7 and I will tell you, okay? So what I do then is that from this data I have, right, from some experiment that was carried out. I don't know what that experiment is. I don't know what that experiment was. This is the data we got. Maybe it was, I don't know, size of the sun with respect to year of observation. So some units में size of the sun का measurement 7. So when I measured it in the first year, I got 7. When I measured it in the second year, I got 7. Basically, that means that the size of the sun is remaining constant. Okay. That's not the point. The point is that I have been given this set of data, right? And what do I do with this set of data, right? Ultimately, what do you do uh, with any piece of information? What you try to do is that you try to predict what the value of y will be for values of x which are not given in the table. Okay, so for example, if I ask you what is the value of y when x is equal to 100, assuming everything remains the same, the answer will be 7, right? It will not change. It may change, I don't know, it may change, but as things stand right now, it does not change. X की वैल्यू 0 से लेकर 6 तक मेरे सामने वेरी कराई जा रही है और y की वैल्यू हमेशा 7 रह रही है. This means that the prediction for x equal to 100 or the prediction for x equal to minus 100 must be 7. Okay. Now it may also happen that something might change. Okay. And if something changes, then maybe the value of y will change. But I don't know when that will happen or how that will happen. Okay. Because the data that has been presented to me has only the values of y for values of x going from 0 to 6. And I am assuming that whatever pattern is being followed here is the pattern which will be followed for all values of x. Okay. So this is basically the tabular form of giving you the data. Okay. This basically is the tabular form of giving you the data. And this is the corresponding graphical form of giving you the data. Okay. So it is the same thing. It is there is no difference between this guy and this guy. These are interchangeable things. So I can show you, I can give you the data of the experiment using a table, and I can give you the data of the experiment using a graph, okay, or I can give you the data of the experiment using an equation, and in this case, the equation that I will write, the equation of this straight line, right? I hope now most of you are getting where most of you are, getting at where I'm going with this. So this is the algebraic form of the data of the relationship between x and y. So these are all equivalent to each other, right? From a table, you can draw a graph. I hope everybody remembers how to do that. X is equal to 0 pe, you plot the point 0, 7. X equal to 1 pe, you plot the point 1, 7. X equal to 2 pe, you plot the point 2, 7, and so on. And you join these points with a best fit, which in this case is a perfect straight line. Remember that this straight line is going to infinity, both side. It is going to for all values of x. So I can give you a table from which you can draw a graph, and from a graph you can work out what the algebraic relationship between x and y is. In this case, as I think Naisa said very correctly at the beginning, that y does not depend upon x, y is independent, y is always equal to 7. It does not care what the value of x is. Now, there are pros and cons of giving you data in these three forms, and I'll quickly tell you what they are. In the tabular form, the data is limited. Okay, so for example, here the value of y was only given up till the value of for x equal to 0 to 6. 2.5 पे क्या था, 3.5 पे क्या था, 100 पे क्या है y का वैल्यू, ये सब हमें गिवन नहीं है. Okay, so the tabular form data is visually very appealing, right? The numbers are there, so I am very comfortable with that. However, just wait for 1 minute. So when I get the data in the tabular form, I'm very comfortable because I can see numbers. And when I get it in graphical form, it is also very, very nice because it is visually, it is visually very appealing to me. Visually, I can see what is happening with the data. But again, these two forms, tabular and graphical, are limited in the sense that they only tell you the values of y for a limited values of x. Okay, you can extrapolate, of course. You can say कि अगर 0 से 6 तक y का वैल्यू 7 है, तो हमारा प्रेडिक्शन है कि x का वैल्यू 600 पे भी y का वैल्यू 7 रहेगा, x का वैल्यू -250 पे भी y का वैल्यू 7 रहेगा, and so on and so on. Right? You can predict this. But the best way of giving information is this algebraic form. So this is the best way. Why is this the best way? Well, it is the best way because it does not have any limitations. If I tell you that this is the equation which the data follows, then you don't need to worry about prediction, right? Now, if somebody asks, what is the value of y when x equal to 500? No problems, it is 7. What is the value of x when, what is the value of y when x is -250? No problems, y is equal to 7. So algebraic form of data may not be very visually appealing, okay, and it may not immediately convey everything to you or to us. but it is the best way of expressing the relationship between two physical variables. In fact, you will find, you already know actually, that physics is nothing but a set of equations, right? F is equal to ma. Kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. Work done is equal to force into displacement, and so on and so on. So ultimately, what happened was that people worked out the algebraic relationships between physical variables, and when they did so, they actually worked out some sort of a law of physics, right? So F is equal to ma means that if you are carrying out an experiment on a particular object having a particular mass, then whatever force you apply, you can measure the acceleration of the object, and you will always find that the force and the acceleration are connected to each other by a very simple equation. F is equal to ma. So if m is equal to, let's say, 2 kilograms, you can always predict now that if I apply a force of 20 newtons, the acceleration will be 10 meter per second square. Now we know that that is a law, Newton's second law, right? But ultimately, it comes from this algebraic relationship between two variables, in this case, force and acceleration. So what we need to do is that we need to sort of, we need to look at an algebraic equation, and we should be able to extract information from this algebraic equation. And like I discussed, I think in the last class as well, that there are various layers of information that are contained here. And in this chapter, in this initial chapter, what we'll be doing is that we'll learn how to unravel these pieces of information from a graph or from an algebraic equation. We will not be dealing with tables because they are very basic, and they are not going to be helpful for us. So we will only be dealing with graphs and algebraic equations which describe the relationship that is drawn on the graph. Okay. Okay, so now let me show you another experiment that was done. I don't have the data for it, but another experiment was done, right? So data from another experiment. This is the graphical data. I'm not going to, like I said, tables are really not useful for us. So I'm going to get rid of tables from now. Only graphs and their corresponding equations, right? So another experiment is carried out by someone, and whatever data is, so where is the data wala here? So another experiment is carried out, and we get a graph like this. Okay, we get a graph like this. Now the thing is that this experiment, the second experiment and the first experiment, okay, both result in a graph which is a straight line. Okay, so since, let me just write this, since both graphs are straight lines, okay, we need a way to compare or to find difference. Ultimately, ये experiment or ये experiment, look at the graphs of these two experiments, right? And I hope it is clear to you that the result of experiment 2 is slightly different from the result of experiment 1. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to get hold of this difference. Now remember that this is a straight line, okay? And a straight line essentially, it extends up to infinity. So this is a straight line, straight segment of straight infinite line. And this experiment also yielded a straight infinite line. But as visually I can see, right? And visually you can see as well that there is a difference between these two graphs. But I want to write this difference down. Okay? I want a way to compare, or to tell somebody that look, ये वाले ग्राफ में जो स्ट्रेट लाइन है इसका ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है, और ये वाले ग्राफ में जो स्ट्रेट लाइन है इसका ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक, राइट? And the characteristic needs to be such that the person whom I am telling this will instantly understand what is the difference between these two straight lines, right? So anyone, what is the difference between these two straight lines? Just by looking at it, you can tell me. One straight line is
Their inclination.
One is having a zero gradient and one is having.
so I want
Sir, one has a constant change, the other one is just a
Yes,
constant graph.
yes, sir.
Slope.
constant change.
But we could also tell this that one graph above is can be sorry, the graph
जल्दी बोल
below
श्रेया,
can,
इतना लंबा नहीं, जल्दी जल्दी बोल.
yes,
क्या
sir,
है?
graph below can be extended till infinity, whereas the graph above cannot be extended.
It can also be.
क्यों भाई? तो स्केल लेके सीधी लाइन नहीं बना सकता है ऐसा?
Yes, sir.
So the second graph has an inclination.
Okay, yes, sir.
So that is the word.
Does not.
That is the word that I'm looking for, and I think many of you have written it in the Manas. Ultimately, we are coming to that word. Yes, yes, Parth. We are coming to that word. आराम तो एक कदम आगे निकल गया है. Very good. Naisa answer. अच्छा, Naisa कुछ और. So basically, I think none of you should be able to, sort of be in the dark about this. This is very easy to understand. So the difference between the two graphs, is inclination. This is the word that I was looking for. Inclination. Okay. Now, how do I measure this inclination? What would be a good way of measuring this? How do you measure the inclination of
Sir,
it?
will we
So
use a
by
trigonometric
angle,
identity?
by measuring the angle made by any of the axes.
Yes,
Angle.
sir. Sir, we could also use a trigonometric identity for that.
dy by dx.
क्या बोल रहा है? Trigonometric identity कहाँ आ गई बे इसमें? Sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1 होती है trigonometry. ना ना बोलो.
If we know the equation, we can also find the dy by dx.
आगे मत भाग, अभी रुक जा. एक लेक्चर रुक जाओ उसके लिए, dy by dx के लिए. Okay, so those people who are not coming into the chat, please do type it. Please do type it in the chat box, right? That much effort you have to take. You just can't sit there and watch me. Although I like. You have to get involved, okay? It has to be interactive. The difference is inclination, and there are many ways to measure inclination. Okay, now here I must I must tell you a convention. Okay. So we have a convention that all angles must be measured from the positive x-axis. Okay, so from the horizontal, you must measure all angles and you must measure them anti-clockwise, like so. So from the positive x-axis, anti-clockwise. So since we know, okay, now look at the cleverness of the people who actually would have done it hundreds of years back. I mean, uh, at that time, nobody was preparing for IIT or NEET, and they did not have schools or coaching classes. So these people were inherently curious, and they wanted to know what is going on, right? And at some point of time, somebody must have come up with this convention. Let's measure all the angles from the positive x-axis anti-clockwise, and we are going to follow this convention. We are going to follow this convention. So there are many ways to measure inclination. Okay, one of them, as you suggested, most of you suggested, is to measure an angle. Okay, so from where should I measure the angle? For that, there is a convention. So the inclination made by this straight line is theta, and the inclination made by this straight line is 0. Okay, the angle made by this straight line with the positive x-axis is 0, and the angle made by this straight line with the positive x-axis is theta. Okay, now I don't know the value of theta. I can work it out, of course. There is no problem, but I'm just going to write it as theta. And this is a very major difference between class 11 or higher studies as compared to class 10. Now in class 10, you are used to getting numerical values for stuff. Okay? But here, this is not going to happen. I will just label the angle as theta. That's it. End of story. Does that theta have a value? It may not. Please mute your mics. So the angle theta may have a value, may not. In this case, it definitely has a value. But irrespective of the fact whether it has a value or not, I'm not really bothered. Okay, I have just said that look, the angle is some theta, and this I'm going to do this a lot. Okay, so there are many ways to measure inclination, right? The first way, of course, is to measure the angle. Now, when I write measure the angle, I stop because I have already told you the convention. कहाँ से angle measure होएगा, कैसे angle measure होएगा, right? So this is a very nice way. This is a very nice way. So this is option 1. This is a very nice way of telling me the difference between these two straight lines, or telling anybody the difference between these two straight lines. So if a guy from China comes to us, and we are talking about science, then I can tell that guy without knowing Chinese that look, this set of data gave me a straight line with an angle 0, and this set of data gave me a straight line with an angle theta, right? So he or she will understand, irrespective of whether they understand English or not, they will understand what the difference between the two experiments is. Okay. However, like I said, there are many ways, right? There is an option 2, and it turns out that option 2 is better than option 1. Okay. Why is it better than option 1, or are there other options as well? Well, there are other options, no doubt. about that. But option 2, it turns out, is the most useful way of representing the inclination of a straight line. Okay, now you may ask, why is it the most useful? Well, it is most useful because I know it is most useful from hindsight. That means that I have studied beyond this, and I have found that, looking back, I have found that, or scientists have found that, this is the best way of measuring, of writing down the inclination of a straight line. And it turns out that this is the only thing that we are going to use in this chapter. Okay. So instead of simply telling me the angle, instead of saying that, look, the angle made by the straight line is theta, what we are going to do is we are going to uh, uh, measure or find the value of tan theta. Find the value of tan theta. Exactly. Yes. Very good, Aditi. Yes. अच्छा आराम क्वेश्चन गलत है क्या? Very good, Riddhi. Yes. Yes. Very good. Okay. अब ये एक मिनट। अब ये दूसरे बैच में मुझसे जो है वो पूछ रहा था एक बच्चा, एक स्टूडेंट, that why tan theta? No, you tell me why tan theta. The answer is that I cannot. I can only say that this way of measuring the inclination will sort of future proof us. That means that whatever comes in the future, this will be of most help. This will be the best way to handle things, right? So this is what we are going to do, and we are going to give this a very special name. Okay, so this is called the slope of the graph, okay, and the slope is equal to tan theta. Okay. What is the slope of this graph? It's actually very easy to work out. I know that this distance is 3, and I know that this distance is 1.5. Right? Anybody willing to take a risk? क्या slope है इस graph का?
-2. -2, sir.
नहीं, -2 नहीं है.
It should be 2 only, not minus.
2.
Only 2.
2.
Only
2.
So tan theta is equal to 3 divided by 1.5 is equal to 2. So the slope of the graph is 2, right? So if this person having another language comes to me and we are discussing this, then the only thing that I can convey without the language barrier to that person is that the slope of the graph is 2, and that guy will know. अच्छा, slope of the graph is 2. इसका मतलब ये हुआ that the inclination is such that when I measure this angle and I work out the tan of this angle, then that tan value will come out to be.
Excuse me, sir. Sir?
हाँ बोलो बोलो.
Sir, I had a doubt. Like where you said that all the angles must be measured from the positive x-axis.
हाँ.
So, sir, like positive in what sense? Like, so the negative side, the minus x-axis cannot come?
Very good question. Thank you for asking this question, because what happens is that since I have been teaching for a very long time, for me it is it is almost I never think of it that way. I always forget about it. I always think that that you will inherently understand. But yeah, this is very, very good question. So the question is, what do you mean by positive x-axis? I mean, what is the meaning of it? So when I draw a graph, okay, when I draw a graph, अपना ये mic आप वो कर लो, mute कर लो, okay? Mute the mic. Please mute.
अरे लाईट गेली मूर्ख माझे पिलोवर तेल नको लावू सबसे पिलोवर
Please mute. ऐश्वर्या, चलो मैंने कर दिया. So if I draw a graph, which I cannot draw for some reason. Wait, just wait. Just wait. Okay. So if I draw a graph, and this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Please, everybody, pay attention. I was going to actually tell this later on, but it's very, very nice that I have been asked this question now. So on this graph, let's say I have a straight line like this. Okay. Or I have a straight line like this. Or I have a straight line like this. Or I have a straight line like this. Okay. Abhinav, the doubt is, what do we mean by positive x-axis? यहाँ पे जो मैंने लिखा है ना, the convention that all angles must be measured from the positive x-axis anti-clockwise. So the doubt is, what do we mean by the positive x-axis? And what happens when you are dealing with a graph which has got nothing to do with the x-axis at all? I mean, how does the measurement of the angle depend upon the location of the straight line for which we are trying to measure the slope? And the answer is, okay, the answer is that the position of the straight line has got nothing to do, the location of the straight line has got nothing to do with the slope. Okay, now you may ask, अरे ये कैसे हो गया? Positive x-axis बोला है. When I say positive x-axis, okay, remember the concept of, I think it is called alternate angles or whatever, or corresponding angles. I don't know the exact wala geometrical theorem.
That's a supplementary angle.
Either one of those, okay, either one of those. The point is that irrespective of the location of the straight line, what you do is that you take any point on the straight line. Okay, look, I'm taking any point on the straight line and draw a horizontal line to the right. Take any point on the straight line, draw a horizontal line to the right. This is the positive x-axis. Take any point on the straight line, draw a horizontal line to the right. Take any point on the straight line, draw a horizontal line to the right. And then to measure the inclination, you must start, okay, you must start from this horizontal line that you have drawn, and go anti-clockwise. This is theta. You must go anti-clockwise. This is theta. You must go, now please see this, see this very carefully. You must start from this line that you have drawn and you must go anti-clockwise. This is theta. Start from this straight line and go anti-clockwise. This is theta. Okay, is this understood by all? ये समझ में आ रहा है सबको? Now is this doubt clarified?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
X axis क्या होता है? Very good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the quantity called slope is so important. Okay, the quantity called slope is so important that we have actually reserved a letter of the alphabet for representing slope. Okay, so slope is represented by the letter M. अब वो M क्यों चूज किया ये मुझे बिल्कुल नहीं मालूम है. स्लोप SLOPEM तो आ नहीं रहा है. There must be some reason. So M is equal to tan theta is equal to the slope. This is the most important, or in fact the single formula that we have in this chapter. Okay, there is another addition to this. I will do this in a moment. There is another addition to this, but this is the single most important formula that we are going to have. Okay. Okay, chalo. So मैं अब आगे बढ़ रहा हूँ. I'm moving ahead. So let's say that we have the y-axis and the x-axis. Okay, and on this xy axis, I have a straight line like this. Now, I am telling you that look, this point on the straight line, okay, let me just change the color of this. I am telling you that look, this point on the straight line has coordinates x1, y1. And I am telling you that this point on the straight line has coordinates x2, y2, right? So what I'm doing is that for a straight line, I'm telling you that look, this point has this coordinate, this point has this coordinates. This is just like, there's a reason why on this graph, they have given the coordinates of this point and they have given the coordinates of this point, right? They have given the coordinates of 2 points for a very specific reason, right? And we'll come back to that. We'll come back to this. So in this graph, I have the coordinates of 2 points, that is x1, y1 and x2, y2. Therefore, can anybody tell me what this distance is?
Y1.
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 y1 होगा कि x1 होएगा?
Sir, Y1. From X.
Y1 होगा.
x1 ना कि y1?
Sir, Y1.
Y1.
और Y1.
And what about this distance?
Sir, X1.
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 इसमें किसी को डाउट नहीं होना चाहिए. What about this distance?
Y2.
Y2.
Of course, this distance will be.
X2.
X2.
Now, I will say this once, I will say it again, and I will keep on saying it throughout the 2 years that we'll be together. Right angle triangles are our best friend. In physics, we are always looking for right angle triangles. And the reason is, like we discussed in the previous class, that we know Pythagoras theorem for a right angle triangle, and we know the definition of sin theta, cos theta, tan theta. for right angle triangles, right? So right angle triangles are our best friend. Therefore, can you see here any right angle triangles?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you,
Yes, sir.
how many right angle triangles can you see here? I
So you
hope
can join a y2 line that you have made from the point x1 y.
Sir, 3.
yeah. So there are actually many right angle triangles. All you have to do is sort of complete the thing, and you have a right angle triangle. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these two guys. This is the right angle triangle that I'm talking about now. Okay. So for this right angle triangle, can you tell me what this distance will be?
x2
X2
minus
minus
x1.
X2 minus
X1.
x1.
minus x1.
I hope that those of you who have not seen this before, that this is absolutely clear. This will be x2 minus x1. And what will be this distance? Please feel free
y2
to
minus
ask.
y1.
Y2
minus
minus
y1.
Y1. Y1.
If you are not getting it, please feel free to ask. Okay, so this distance will be equal to y2 minus y plus here. Okay, now if this angle is theta, then what is this angle?
So theta as well,
Sir,
corresponding
theta.
angles.
Or theta, sir.
Corresponding.
Same hoega?
Yes.
Yes,
Same
sir.
hoega?
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
agree with this, right?
Same.
Same hoega? Okay, so this is also, if I can. Now, from this right angle triangle, जिसका ये येलो में हाइपोटेन्यूज मैंने बनाया है, कैन यू टेल मी
Sir, I have a doubt.
हाँ पूछो.
Sir, matlab if theta is equal, then it will make no difference if we take this tan theta of the bigger triangle and tan theta of the smaller triangle, right?
It will not.
Sir, so why are we taking the smaller? We can do with the bigger also, no?
What is the distance between your house and my house? What is the distance between your house and my house?
Yes, sir, I don't know exactly.
Why? Why you don't know? Reason क्या है कि आप नहीं जानते हो?
Sir, because it is a longer distance. Asha.
नहीं. No. Not a trick question. Like, what am I asking you? I'm asking you the distance between my house and your house. And you are saying that you don't know. So the most plausible reason for this, or the actual reason for this must be what? It is what? It is because you don't know what?
Sir, where you live?
Exactly. Do you know this distance? Do you know this distance?
No, sir.
Therefore, if I use the bigger right angle triangle, I will run into some difficulty because I will not be knowing one side. Whereas ये जो मैंने right angle triangle यहाँ बनाया है yellow वाला, इसमें we know the two sides, right? The opposite side and the base. Will you agree with that?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Yeah. So what you said is absolutely right. Right? The statement made was, why don't we take the bigger right angle triangle? Why the need to take the smaller right angle triangle? The question is absolutely correct and it is perfect. The answer to this is the fact that because of this guy, okay, because of the fact that I don't know this distance for the larger right angle triangle, I have no idea what the base is. The base must be x2 plus something, and that's something I don't know. It is not given to me, therefore I am not considering the larger right angle triangle. And this situation will definitely come up when you are solving problems. You will be faced with a choice of right angle triangles. You will be faced with a choice of many right angle triangles. and then you'll have to make a very strategic analysis at that point, that which is the right angle triangle about which you have the maximum amount of information, so that you can successfully find whatever whatever is being asked. Okay, okay. So thank you. That's very nice question once again.
So what if the line passes through the origin? Then can we take the bigger triangle?
Absolutely, we can. Yes, if the line passes through the origin, then you can take the bigger triangle. Absolutely, yes, good. But since I am dealing with generalization, I am dealing with every possible case. Therefore, in this generalized scenario, we are not considering a straight line passing through the origin. But if the straight line was passing through the origin, then there is no doubt you can take that angle, yes. Okay, so now please tell me the value of tan theta for the yellow right angle triangle.
y2 minus y1 by x.
y2
So
minus
y2
y1
minus
upon
y1
x2
upon x2
minus
minus
1.
x1.
I2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1 is equal to m. This is the single most important formula, only formula that we are going to use in this chapter. Okay? There is nothing else that we are going to, nothing else, और कुछ नहीं use करना. So before I अभी तक सब कुछ सबको clear है, everything is clear. Anybody
Yes,
having
sir.
doubt till now?
Yes, sir.
If anybody has a doubt, you can type it on chat. Okay? Chat is open in front of me, or you can just switch on your mic and you can ask. Okay. So before we move ahead, I just want to, one more thing, one little thing I want to show. That if this is, again, I'm drawing the x and y axis, if this is the x and y axis, and we draw Halash, मैं तेरे को पीट दूंगा कि मैं अभी तेरे को ये मेरे को व्हाट्सएप पे डाल पलाश, समझ रहा है ना? अभी नहीं, व्हाट्सएप पे डाल, व्हाट्सएप पे बात करते हैं अलग से. Okay, so the slope of this guy, slope of this straight line will be what? Slope of
0.
this line will
0.
be
0.
0.
because it makes an angle of 0 with the positive x-axis. Tan of 0 is 0, we know this, and therefore this is having a slope of 0. What about a straight line like this, which makes an angle of 45 degrees?
1.
1.
Per 1.
1.
Tan of
One.
42 degrees is 1, therefore the slope of this straight line will be equal to 1. What about this straight line?
Not
Which
defined.
makes an angle of
Sir, not defined.
Not defined.
ha. So here I want to tell you that the slope of this straight line will not be called in fact in physics we will be sort of not using the term undefined. We will be using instead infinity. Okay, infinity का मतलब हुआ such a large number that we cannot write it down for any practical purposes. It cannot be written down, such a large number. Okay. Now, if I have a straight line which is somewhere here like this, for this straight line, m will be greater than 0 but less than 1. And if I have a straight line like this, then for this, m will be greater than 1 but less than infinity. If I have a straight line like this, then for this straight line, m will be equal to -1. Okay, now please don't worry about the fact that if you have not studied tan of an angle is equal to a negative number, don't worry about it. For the moment, just take my word for it. In maths,
Sir,
you will be
m is equal to -1 will be only possible if the angle between x-axis, positive x-axis and the line is 135 degrees, right?
135, yeah. 135. On the straight line, draw from any point, draw the positive x-axis, and then anti-clockwise you measure. Anti-clockwise you measure. Anti-clockwise. This angle will be 135 degrees. Okay. Then if you have this straight line, so here m is between 0 and -1. And if you have this straight line, then m is between -1 and -infinity. So the vertical straight line can have a slope plus infinity or minus infinity. Let me show you what I mean by this. Slope of this straight line, 0. Okay, I'm going to increase the slope. Okay, please notice the hand. Please notice my hand. 0. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, million, billion, 10 billion. Minus 10 billion. Minus 10 million. Minus million. Minus 1,000, minus 100. I'm going to change my hand now. नहीं तो मेरा हाथ उससे ज़्यादा मुड़ेगा नहीं. Minus 100. Minus 10. Minus 9. Minus 1. Minus 0.9. Minus 0.8. Minus 0.5. Minus 0.4. Minus 0.2. 0. Okay. This is how the slope of a straight line will vary. And it is very, very easy. If you understood the previous diagram, it's very, very easy. Let me draw the XY axis once again. This is the X axis. This is the Y axis. Ulta bol diya maine, sorry. And this is a straight line. 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 Take any point on the straight line. Okay, take any point on the straight line. Draw the positive x-axis. Measure the angle counterclockwise. Theta 1. If theta 1 is acute. Acute ka matlab, I hope everybody knows, acute ka matlab less than
90 more than 0.
Less than 90.
Okay. This implies that the slope is positive. I am not bothered about, and generally you will also not be bothered about, कि slope की value क्या है. Generally we will be bothered about कि slope का sign क्या है. Whether it is positive, whether it is negative, that will be more important for us. So for this straight line, take any point on the straight line, draw the positive x-axis. From the positive x-axis, measure the angle counterclockwise, anti-clockwise. Okay. Theta 2 is greater than 90 degrees. So theta 2 is obtuse, greater than 90 degrees. This implies that the slope is negative. Okay, please notice that it does not matter where the straight line is. Okay? Any point on the straight line, draw the x-axis, anti-clockwise, theta 3. Theta 3 is less than 90 degrees. Therefore, the slope is positive. Any point on the straight line, draw the horizontal axis, measure the angle anti-clockwise, right? Theta 4 is greater than 90 degrees. Therefore, the slope of this straight line is negative. Shortcut. Shortcut. Imagine yourself standing on top of the straight line. Okay? Imagine yourself standing on top of the straight line. If you have to climb the hill to your right, slope is positive. If you have to climb the hill to your left, slope is negative. Okay? So this guy has to climb the hill to the right, slope is positive, left, negative, right, positive, left. Climb the hill, climb, ऊपर जाना है. Climb the hill to your right, positive slope. Climb the hill to your left, negative slope. Okay, that is how we are going to. That is how we are going to find the slopes of straight lines. Is this understood by everyone? Any doubts you have at this point, please ask.
Sir, the line passing, a line that is on the y-axis in the above diagram, it can never have a negative infinity, right? Because if we are measuring from the x-axis, it will only get to 90, and then the whole line is there.
I did not understand. Please repeat.
So like tan 90 is not defined or infinity,
Yeah.
and then tan 70 is negative infinity. So if written
Oh.
there, so it could be plus or
Tan
minus infinity.
70, tan 70, tan 70 कहाँ से?
270, sir. 270.
हाँ?
So tan 270.
No, 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 no. Let's not talk about 270. No, no, no. Okay, I understand the source of your confusion. Okay, so please try to understand that plus and minus infinity are the same. Now I know this seems like a weird sort of a concept. Because if we अब now मैं बता रहा हूँ. Good question. So this seems like a very weird proposition from my side. You have a number line, and if you keep on walking from this side of the number line from 0, you will reach plus infinity. And if you keep walking on this side from 0 on the number line, you will reach minus infinity. And I'm saying now to you that plus infinity and minus infinity are the same. There is no difference whatsoever between plus infinity and minus infinity. This is a very weird concept, but it is true. So I will not say that the angle made by the straight line is 90, तो उसका slope plus infinity. And if the angle made by the straight line is 270, तो उसका slope minus infinity. And no, this is a wrong concept. अगर एक straight line का angle with the positive x-axis is 90 degrees, तो उसका slope plus infinity भी है, minus infinity भी. Because the moment you go to this side, you have a straight line having a very large positive slope. The moment you go to this side, you have a straight line having a very large negative slope. Therefore, it stands to reason that when you have a vertical line, when you have a line along the y-axis, okay, that's it. You can call it either plus infinity or minus infinity. Is this same because the magnitude of infinity is same? No, because we cannot talk about the magnitude of infinity. Infinity by definition is something which is beyond the measurement of any mathematical quantity. So you cannot talk about the magnitude of infinity. It would make no sense talking about the magnitude of infinity. Okay. I hope this is understood. I will try to draw one more diagram to explain to you. So if we have again y-axis, the x-axis, and if I have a straight line which is something like this, okay, and if I have a straight line which is something like this, so this has a very large negative slope, okay, and this guy has a very large positive slope. So of course then this line, this line will have both plus infinity and minus infinity. Infinity itself is a very weird concept. If you want to entertain yourself, let me ask this question. In fact, I will ask it later on as well. How many pairs of integers will add up to 9? How many pairs
Sir,
of
infinity.
integers will add up to 9?
Sir, infinite.
Huh?
Infinite, sir.
Sir, infinite.
Yes, sir, infinite.
Infinite.
I hope
Infinite.
it agrees with this. Integers I'm talking about. So it will be like minus 1 plus 10, 1 plus 9, sorry, 1 plus 8, okay, and so on and so on. Just one more.
Can you show the figure above? Sir, the one you just drew.
क्या बोल रहा है श्रेयस?
Sir, could you show this figure you just drew?
हाँ हाँ अभी दिखा.
Yes.
So everybody agrees with me that these are infinite pairs.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. How many pairs of real numbers add up to 9?
Sir, only 5 pairs.
Only 5 pairs. So one of them would be 1.1 plus 7.9. Right? और 4 क्या होंगे? What will be the other 4 pairs? 1.001 plus 7.009. Would that add up to 9?
Why only 5?
No, sir.
No,
Nine.
infinite.
This is not 9.
Yeah.
Also, that is also
Yes,
not
sir.
9.
This is also
Also,
not
999, yes.
ये 9 है कि नहीं है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is 9.
This is
Yes,
9,
sir.
sir. Yes.
Sir, I didn't consider decimal, sir. Decimal, there would be a lot more. If we are talking about whole number, then there would be.
How many? How many? How many pairs
Infinite.
of numbers will add up to 9?
Yes, there is a possibility of infinite here.
It is infinite.
Everybody agrees with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the real question comes. How many pairs of real numbers? Okay. How many pairs of real numbers between these two will add up to 9?
So that also infinite because we can have
Many
infinite
pairs-
decimal place.
Yes, sir.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now comes the real question. Abhi tak- Now comes the real question. Which infinity is larger? Pair of real numbers which add up to 9 or pair of integers which add up to 9?
Sir, integers.
So both are infinity. Both are same.
Sir, both are same.
Both are
Yes,
equal.
both are infinity.
Sir, we can't compare.
Sir, we can't compare.
But you see, do you see the problem? Do you see the problem or not? That is my question. The problem is that if you have an infinite pair of integers which add up to 9, then between any two consecutive pairs, how many pairs of real numbers add up to 9? That is what I was asking here. See, so
Sir, can you repeat?
रुक जाना, कर रहा हूँ भाई. ये आप बोल रहे हो कि infinite pair ना, infinite pairs add up to 9, but between any two, how many pairs of real numbers add up to 9? The answer is infinity. That means that there would be an infinite pairs between these two guys. There would be an infinite pair between these two guys. There would be an infinite pair between these two guys, then so on and so on. So which infinity is bigger?
Integers.
Huh?
Infinity is the same.
Can you compare infinity?
Sir, we cannot compare.
Can't compare.
Sir, but it would be kind of like infinity to infinity, but we cannot understand infinity is.
Turns out that we can compare, but okay, you understand my point, right? Infinity is weird because your mind, I hope your mind is telling you that real number wala zyada hona chahiye. But then again, your mind is telling you, wait a minute, how can I compare to infinities? And then what you are doing is you are taking the shortest route out, and that is that, acha, theek hai, let me say that infinities cannot be compared, right? So you are taking the lesser of the two evils and getting out. But yeah, they can be compared, and I just wanted to show that infinity is a very weird concept. So here, when I say that this straight line has a slope which is both positive infinity and negative infinity, that should not be taken as very surprising. Okay, you can say that the slope is positive infinity and negative infinity. Okay, so I think I'll stop here. In the next class, we'll finish this. And, we will talk about the algebraic equation, right? That is what we were after actually. So we'll talk about the algebraic equations in the next class. Anything which is not understood here, please tell me now. Either type it on chat, send me on WhatsApp, or simply ask me now. Okay.
Any infinity cannot be compared, right? Like.
क्या क्या फिर से बोलो बच्चा?
सर तो फिर रियल नंबर के इंफिनिटी और इंटीजर के इंफिनिटी कंपेयर नहीं हो सकते ना, मतलब
अच्छा
like
you
we cannot tell which one is bigger,
हाँ
bigger and which one is smaller.
अब देखो देखो आप आपका जो करंट नॉलेज है उसके हिसाब से infinities cannot be compared. That's it.
Okay, sir.
But what I'm saying is that at some level of knowledge, infinities can be compared, and I hope that this example is sort of giving you a hint, or at least convincing you that there is a possibility that one infinity may be greater than another, right? Now, how is that worked out? How is that figured out? That is a different thing altogether, right? And YouTube Zindabad. You can always search in YouTube for the infinite hotel problem. That is a very interesting,
Sir, what was the name again?
the infinite hotel, HOTEL, hotel problem. Infinite hotel problem. Okay, so I will stop here. I'll send you the notes in 15-20 minutes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anything which is not understood, remember, you can type it on chat here. You can ask me on WhatsApp. You can give me a call. You can ask here. Right? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chalo guys,
Bye,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
अभी के लिए तो होमवर्क नहीं है, but next class में होमवर्क मिलेगा.
Sir, there has been sent like a link for the practice session, but we had the maths period as first. So when will that occur?
अच्छा मैथ्स पीरियड फर्स्ट था क्या? अच्छा इसीलिए मेरे को हिमांशु सर का मैसेज आया पहला. So sorry.
Yes.
Don't worry, अभी हिमांशु सर will come and he'll clear it. Okay.
Sir, so we need not leave the meeting, right?
हाँ, you don't need to leave the meeting now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
चलो, bye bye.
Bye, sir.
Okay, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.